Welcome to the Aviation Seminar 3 podcast hosted by the Hampton University Aviation Department. My name is Prophecy Wood. I'm a second year aviation management major from upstate New York.
Hi, my name is Alexander Lane Stasek. I'm a second year air traffic control major from Long Island, New York.
My name is Corey Schuler. I'm a second year aviation management major from San Antonio, Texas.
My name is Chase Gaston. I'm also a second year aviation management major from Atlanta, Georgia.
My name is Michaela Morris. I'm a second year air traffic control major from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Arissa Cooper. I'm a second year aviation management major from Denver, Colorado.
Hi, my name is Ian Colbert. I'm a second year aviation management major from Dallas, Texas.
We're going to be talking about airport security and safety, talking about before and after 9/11 and aviation accidents, and also cybersecurity attacks.
Alright, so we can honestly take a look at what the airport experience and what the traveling experience pretty much encompassed before 9/11. I'll let Arissa go into a little bit of detail about what happened after, but before 9/11, airport security wasn't like centralized. It wasn't all under one umbrella, meaning that like basically different airports use different security companies to do their airport security. The security was much more lax. You could arrive about 20 minutes before your flight. You could still catch it. You wouldn't be late. You could, go all the way to the gate and greet your loved ones and watch them take off. During flight, you can do things like go to the cockpit. You could bring drinks onto the plane. You could do a lot of things that you can't. And because of the fact that the airport security was not standardized and it wasn't one standard across all airports like it is today through the TSA, the airport security just the airport experience as far as just, going to your gate, catching your flight, that varied greatly between airports because it was all different. It wasn't, standardized, anything like that. So basically that led to a lot of people having different experiences traveling.
Yeah, like as far as what Ian was saying, you could actually walk your family to the gate without a ticket. It's kind of like a bus station, more of a sense, more relaxed, more kind of just chill. And I think a lot of that changed after 9/11, clearly, because now the cockpits are reinforced and you can't, I don't know if you guys know, when you have to use the bathroom and you're sitting near the front of the plane, they're you can't stand in line like you can in the back of the plane because it's a safety hazard. And it was really it was a very stark difference. I think a lot of people were scared, especially after 9/11. The airports were empty. It's kind of like COVID. The grocery stores were empty, the malls were empty, everything was just, people were in fear. So I think that was kind of crazy. Then they started flying with undercover air marshals a lot more often. And they're not on every flight, but they were on a lot more flights. And then security lines got longer because they used to miss about 25% of weapons and drugs and stuff like that before 9/11, and then they got way more strict about it. So
That's crazy. I feel like 25% would be a crazy number today.
Right?
That'd be insane.
Guns, knives.
Yeah.
Everything.
And that's even one thing you can mention before the TSA. You're actually allowed to take things like knives and sharp objects, which is just insane for us to think today. That's not even something that you could even fathom.
They'll pull you to the side so quickly.
Right, and it was normal back then, which is pretty crazy for us to think about. But that's just the way things were prior to 9/11.
And then if you think about it, you used to be able to walk your kids, they fly to their aunt's house or somewhere across the country, but now you have to, the Southwest has the unaccompanied minors thing,
right.
They take care of that and you can't go and, do that kind of thing. So, and then there was the 3-1-1 liquids rule. So it started in 2006. This is before, or this is after, but it started in 2006 when British officials, they uncovered a terrorist plot where people were disguising explosive liquids as drinks. So that's why they started doing that. It was Lucozade and Oasis. So it looked like the drink, but it wasn't that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
They had no-fly lists back then. Like, how do you think that would have worked? Someone's like rounding on a plane and like, oh, you're not allowed to fly here, but then they walk their whole entire family to the gate. Maybe they buy like their brother the ticket and then just switch off at the last second. Like, y'all think they had stuff like that?
That's actually kind of crazy.
I wonder if they were able to like sneak people on planes that way.
They probably
They
had a
did.
lot
Sure, you
more
definitely-
stories.
Sure,
a
you
lot
definitely
more.
could. As for the differences between like, because it was obviously before prior to TSA, it was much more convenient, everything like we talked about. But how do y'all feel as far as the changes? Like, obviously, it's a matter of safety, but like, I guess it's just like, how do you guys feel about the change? Like,
What with the technology and like the scanners and all that?
just like the airport experience changing because of 9/11 and what it was like before, what it was like before compared to what it is now.
I think it's safer. 100% safer.
I feel so much
Yeah.
better flying now.
Yeah, like there's really no doubt in my mind when I walk through the airport, I feel safe. When I
Right.
get to my flight, nothing happened to
There's
my
no
plane.
bombs in the concourse.
Exactly,
Like,
right.
I don't think you can beat that standardization factor,
Yeah.
like the fact that the standard is the same everywhere you go within, different states. You can't beat that because you know what to expect every time you're going into any airport for that matter. So
And for-profit companies cut corners to make profits, and poor business practices, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of varying factors that could compromise safety, which is obviously something that cannot be compromised especially when it comes to air travel. So.
yeah. And so then when you have that standard, you can kind of eliminate stuff like that, like private companies' ability to cut corners, which is
Right.
that's a big thing because they're not always concerned with the well-being of the passenger or the customer, like we like to say. So I think that standardization is really what drives it home because as long as we have a set standard, you can change it and vary it, but there's going to be baseline rules that everybody's following. That way everything's smooth and you have an easy flight. And like I say, you know what to expect. I feel like that's a big thing. Not going into an airport, wondering what am I have to do to get through? What do I have to do to be safe? How am I going to end up on my plane? I feel like that's a big thing because you can go online, you can read everything and it'll tell you what you need to do to get on the plane safely and pre-check and stuff like that. So I think these standards that we set are pretty big. They're very important in keeping everybody safe. So.
Yeah, you're just worried about finding your gate and getting there on time, and calling your loved ones. So you're not worried about your safety at all. It's kind of an afterthought. So.
I think another big change was not only just for the passengers, but for pilots and for flight attendants and stuff like that too. Because with the hijackings for 9/11, those were the first people that they had to take control of because they know what they're doing. So some pilots could carry firearms under I think it's the Federal Flight Deck Officer Program, and then with flight attendants, I'm sure they had training of what's doing in emergency, but not as heavily as it was now. So they got anti-terrorism training and self-defense courses and stuff like that. And even when we went to we visited the Alaska Airlines training facility in Seattle during conference, and they have a whole area where they just do self-defense training on dummies and stuff like that. So I think that was a big thing that changed after.
So firearms or just hand combat?
Hand-to-hand.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that. Training, I'm sure it's got to be a big part of the pipeline.
Yeah.
You think it's just about serving and being able to balance and stuff like that, but now they got to protect the plane. So
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And I think that's why it's so important. People are oh, I was flying United a few days ago, and they're even if you fly frequently, pay attention to the safety briefing because you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
You might, I flew a couple months ago and you forgot wear the life vest and stuff like that. So I think flight attendants, they take their job very seriously for these reasons because history can repeat itself if we don't pay attention to it.
Something I was thinking about, why do you think 9/11, in your personal opinion, why do you think 9/11 was such a big deal for implementing the standard? Because I'm looking at early incidents with hijacking and stuff like that. It's happened before 9/11. Why do y'all think 9/11 was
The end all be all.
Yeah.
Because it was
so many.
It was so bad.
it was so bad, and it was foreign too.
Yeah.
They were already having those quarrels with Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff like that. So they had that predetermined kind of feeling towards those people. And when it was Al Qaeda into the mix, coming and killing American citizens, and it was
We got
that was when the switch
That makes
was.
sense.
I also think, I don't know about y'all, but I definitely agree. It was America's agenda to take over the Middle East anyway, or to try to. So I think that they definitely, it was horrible, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Thousands of people died, it was bad, horrible. But I also think that they used that as okay, green light, let's go. And take over. But I think purely just because before like hijackings have been happening for however long planes have been around. So I think since it was just on such a national level and like so many people died and it was like an actual terrorist organization. I think that's why they made it such a big deal.
So, have y'all heard? I know this is not necessarily aviation related, but there was also, I think it was in 2011, 2012, the Boston Marathon bombing, which was also by a foreign terrorist organization. So, but they don't like close off streets and check the streets for bombs every day. So it's like, I wonder why it's such a
The airport is just a lot smaller, and you can secure that area so much easier than you can
A big
whole
city,
entire city. So.
It's kind of like that comparison that Chase was making. I think back to like World War II, right? So they come to Pearl Harbor, and that's like, oh yeah, we're going to war next day, you know what I'm saying? So like I think that like that American patriotism that's in like the country, I think that is a big part of why we have these standards and why it was like the end all be all, like you said. So that's really interesting.
Prior to 9/11, they'd also never considered that. Obviously they had considered hijacking. They had considered, like, for instance, box cutters, sharp weapons, but this was the first time that they had actually realized, like, the aircraft is the weapon. Right. The aircraft is the thing that's being used to do these atrocities, right? And I think that's when they figured that out, they were just like, yeah, like this, there have been, I guess incidents before, but this is just like, this cannot happen again.
Yeah.
It was just the sheer magnitude of what happened, at 9/11, just, they just couldn't happen to happen again.
And it was like New York was one of the biggest business cities, not just for America, but for the world. And it still is. But I think that's also why, because it's literally the World Trade Center. Like, so many people were there, so many important people. And it's not just because you're important, your life matters, but I think that was a big thing, because it affected the business aspect of things, too.
So you think if they changed the location, it would have been not as serious?
I think it still would have been serious.
I think it still would have been serious, but
I don't think it would have took it to that level.
Yeah.
Like all the security that they put in with the TSA and all that.
We're talking about just New York.
cool.
All right, we're back.
So,
Talking about the Pentagon. So we've been focusing a lot on New York, but obviously they hit the Pentagon too, and there's something about taking a bunch of civilian lives, which obviously the government hates, but when you hit the government itself, that's probably also gonna like tenfold their operations into, okay, who did this, get them, and just absolutely just deal with them. Just
Yeah,
run
make
with
them
it.
suffer. Cause like I know I keep bringing up movies, but I don't know if y'all seen that movie White House Down, when it was like it was crazy.
Yeah, that's just wild. I did have one more thing that I did want to bring up. Now that post 2001, TSA was born. So we had standardization across at least the United States that I've done most of my research on. X-ray scanners, scanning your bags, personal screenings, all that. That part. So my one question that I had for everybody was like, how do we feel that we found a good balance between safety, like public safety, and personal privacy? Because I know for a lot of people, like I've seen so many videos of people complaining about TSA going through all their bags and searching them, and they didn't think it was necessary. So has anybody had any experiences, like any bad experiences with?
I've had bad experiences with TSA, but I also think when they're going through your bag, it's not about you. It's for the safety of everybody. Yeah, it's not just like you have to think outside of yourself. Oh, they're going through my dirty laundry. Like you're gonna be okay.
Right.
Also,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, you definitely also consent to your bags, man. Like that's happened to me before. Like there's this one time I was flying from St. Louis, and they thought the zipper of my bag was like something sharp. So they took a look at it, but it was just like flipped over on a weird side, and it appeared weird in the scanner. Yeah. So, but it's like you also have to. It's like you said, it's not about you. It's a matter of national security, and if you're flying, then you should be okay with the fact that hey, at any point, because of again, not about me, but at any point because of national security, my bag can be checked, and I just had to be okay with that. That's just the small price I had to pay to keep everybody safe.
Right. I completely agree. I remember one time I was coming back from Jamaica, and this woman was trying to bring all these meats and fish and vegetables and stuff. So the TSA officers were like, "Yeah, you can't bring any of this in," and she just started tweaking out. Like it was crazy. But no, I definitely agree, because even stuff like that, diseases, bugs, germs, like whatever can get in. So I definitely agree.
Lots of invasive species come Like I know you're trying to take it back from your home country, however.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I had an experience where I was traveling with my instrument, like international, and they checked my instrument, and I think it was London or something, but they went through the whole case. When I was here, my instrument passed just fine, so I was wondering, like, what's the difference between there and here?
Yeah, definitely. I think different governments definitely have different standards for what, they consider safe to bring through or not, but
I think the standardization of TSA also had to do with like the drug cartels back in the day, like especially with Pablo Escobar. It was running rampant at that time, so. And it still kind of is. It's just they found different methods for it.
For sure, yeah, they had to be a little bit more sneaky about it.
Yeah. But.
So as far as like safety for passengers and stuff, what do you guys think about safety as far as like pilots and just accidents in general? Like, how do you feel TSA affected that, or how do you feel like it's gotten better?
Like as far as like TSA and like
just like general accidents, like branching off.
Oh,
like
just general
crashes.
accidents?
General accidents have to do with either the pilot or air traffic controller or some other mechanical abnormality on the plane. So I think that's past TSA, which is, I'd say, it's a good thing, because that's just another factor, or I guess it's taking out a factor when you're considering crashes, because it's like, oh, did someone bring something onto the plane that was, and they made it go down, but then we have all the security, so like, okay, now we can roll that out. Now let's look at the other plane's diagnostics and go through the black box and all the other stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think like as far as like, because there's different sectors too. There's pilot air, there's air traffic control. With pilot air and air traffic controllers, that's why the I'm Safe checklist is so important, because people, I've worked 7 days, 7 12-hour shifts this week, and then I had to drive an hour back home. Like there's always some factor that goes into it that can be controlled. Like sometimes you really do just have to take the day off, because you're putting all those other people in danger. I'm getting a divorce and I'm upset with the world, so I'm gonna crash into a mountain. It's kind of like you can't really do that. I think a lot of aviation is thinking outside of yourself. Like you have to be selfless for the sake of safety.
Definitely agree. And to see, I'm a really big history buff, so I like to watch a lot of World War II videos and things. So even back when, like during wartime, bombers and people that were flying the planes and things, like PTSD wasn't a thing yet. So, they would just keep going on, and you see the statistics, and it's just the crashes due to pilot error, but it was just mental health and all these outside factors. So now I'm grateful that we actually, like as a people, like, care about our mental health a little bit more, and we do more research, and we care about our pilots and our staff, like everybody, TSA, all of our staff. So yeah, I really do think that checklist is like super, super important. But I am really glad that we actually, like that's a big thing now, that our mental health is so important. So yeah.
And then kind of adding on in the maintenance area, I know it can get very, very difficult from firsthand experience whenever you're dealing with really small parts on a very large object, being the aircraft, and you're like, there's no way that this actually matters. Like, it's just 30 minutes of my day that I don't want to, what I'm saying? I don't want to do the right thing. I don't want to go back and look at the book, whatever it may be. But, like you're saying, it's outside of ourselves, right? So whenever we're doing things in aviation, yes, we fly. However, we might not be getting on this plane that we're working on. We might not be getting on this plane that we're inspecting. So a lot of the things that we do, it's like, yeah, I don't want to do this by the book. Yeah, people are breathing down my neck for me to push out this product at a specific time and it's not ready. And, it's a lot of stress, like we're talking about mental health. But, like using your resources, using your teammates, and then thinking in a selfless manner. I feel like that is so important with the maintenance side of aviation, because I've been there, like it's hot, it's cold, and you're like, there's like actually no way, like my arm is hurting while I'm just doing whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Or like the plans just don't make sense, and now I have to go all the way up to like the 5th floor of the office and explain to an engineer what's not working. It's just time and energy that I feel like is being wasted. But being selfless in that aspect, I feel like that is so very important in getting the customer safe, you know what I'm saying? Because everyone's flown, and then I think everyone's had those moments, especially your first couple times flying, when you're like, oh, this is new, it's a little interesting, I might be a little nervous. So then you really start thinking, man, I hope the pilot knows what they're doing. I hope the maintainer knew what they were doing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, being selfless, I feel like that's a very big part of it. So
I I got a question for the pilots real quick. So, when we were just talking about like your emotions and your mental health and your I am safe checklist, have you guys ever like been on a flight date where you weren't feeling great, or like during the flight where it's like your emotions are off or something? It's like maybe I should be flying or anything like that.
I feel like there's been times where it's like, dang, I'm flying, you know, like I don't feel like I can keep learning, you know, because I'm still like in my head like, dang, I made a mistake, I think. You know, like when I'm flying the traffic pattern, I'm just like, bro, I need to land. I'm like, please make this a full stop. Let me just go back.
There have been
Call
times
it a
I've been
day.
up in the practice area and I've been coming back to do some pattern work. I'm just like I remember this one time I was like, yeah, we gotta make this full stop. I'm just like, there's too much that went on. I mean, like I messed up there a little bit with my maneuvers, and I was just kind of over it, you know.
And that's healthy though. Like you don't want to, because first of all, you're wasting money. You're gonna keep doing the same thing,
fact.
and
You're
you're
gonna
gonna keep messing up. But it's also like, okay, I'm gonna land. I'm gonna go study. I'm gonna come back stronger.
Just
You know
like
what I
for
mean?
safety.
Yeah. So
So you guys think for like future wise, like human error, weather, mechanics, do you think the numbers are gonna change at all? Or with like more training and stuff?
I think that the focus will continue to change.
we're gonna have jobs. There's a government shutdown.
I think the focus will continue to change. Like how after 2001, before I guess people weren't taking it seriously enough, obviously. So now after 2001, like the whole focus changed. TSA was born. So I think as things will continue to happen in the aviation community, or just, you know, as things just continue to develop, our view of what we deem the issue might be, or like what's causing crashes or what's doing this and this, will just continue to change, because, you know, like situations continue to develop as they're happening even. So I think that like it'll just continue to change for the future.
And that's the
That's what I
podcast.
think.
Yep. Thanks for listening to us. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.